rarely using Zoom these days, so good. Okay, here we go. Philemon, welcome to the group. You said this is your first time being able to join us for the monthly call.
All right. Yep. Thank you.
So welcome on board.
Same here.
Being implementation specialists, we start on time, we finish on time. So you can Macan after 7, no problem. Okay. For those who missed earlier, Philemon's also in Singapore. So we go around the world. Wayne, which part of the States are you in?
We're in London, Ontario, Canada.
Oh, my apologies. Sorry.
At 6 o'clock in the morning.
Is it? Oh, thank you for getting up early. Thank you. So that's your actual backdrop, or that was a screen backdrop?
Yeah, that's actually my home office background.
Okay, so good on you. Thank you for getting up early. Phil's in New Zealand, he kindly put in. Kadar is in Ethiopia. And Chris, hey, Chris.
Hi there.
How are you doing, sir? Great to see you.
All right, thank you. Bit warm, otherwise fine.
Is it? What is it up to already?
45 plus every day.
Oh, wow. Hoping to, well, I mean, I'll definitely be in the UAE in December, but probably one more trip before that. All right, let me just do a share screen. There we go. All right. So many of you we know, but for those who are not so familiar, each month Antonio and I alternate the monthly meeting and hosting it. Occasionally we do together. So next month we will both be hosting. You'll see why in a few minutes. And each time we do a different topic, but the main goal, two main objectives of our monthly meeting. One is to bring the implementation community together. So Antonio and I have been passionate since we started SII to grow it so that we could grow the community and connect. And we're delighted that every few days new members continue to come on board. And secondly, the goal of the Institute is we really want to improve that missing critical skill of how to implement. And as more and more people become strategy implementation professionals, the SIP exam, as we call it for short, we were delighted in the growth of that. So for today and the topic, the agenda, three key things today. The Institute update is going to be very short because it's just one main announcement. Then we chose today, Antonio and I were discussing, to do an implementation best practice. And there's so much going on today that we just wanted to hone down on a best practice. So we want to talk about the power of check-ins. So I'm going to share a little bit of background, some quizzes, and then we'll have a conversation about it. And then, as I said, we start and finish on time. And if you don't mind, just add whatever name you want me to address you by and location. And I use two screens, so if you see me looking to the other side, it's just where the screen is. Drum roll is after 7 months. Thank you, guys. It's been a lot longer than we anticipated. Antonio and I were having breakfast meetings in Vienna in November during the Drucker conference. And the idea of updating the curriculum, we didn't think it was going to take us 9 months or 8 months. It took a bit longer than we anticipated. But we really wanted to focus on the quality of the content, which is why we didn't rush it. So glad to announce that August the 6th, we are launching a soft launch of 2.0 for members. And also all members, whether you're a SIP or whether you've done the course or not, are going to receive the ebook, which is complete now. Next month, Antonio and I will both present, and we're going to share with you more specific the updates. More specific what the updates are. But just to give you a teaser, we wanted it to be more inclusive. So we've updated a lot of the references, the quotes, and the examples. We also wanted it to be more relevant in a digital world. So we all know how Gen AI is accelerating strategy development, the impact of AI in terms of accelerating implementation, and many of the changes are reflected in that. So next month, we will run through what the changes are to the curriculum and what the new updates are. I mentioned this, but it's been a couple of months ago because Antonio's been kind enough to host. So for those who are not aware, we've also uploaded this year a new resource on the website called the Value Packs. And these solve critical business issues. Can you see the screen? Wayne, can you see the website? Yeah, great, thanks. So this is the link on the website. If you just go into search and you type in free resources, you'll find it. So we've uploaded 8 at the moment. These are at the beginning. You know, and why is it critical to allocate implementation resources? How to avoid organizations habitually repeating past mistakes? How to use a stakeholder analysis matrix? So those of you who are SIPs, you'll be familiar with the content, but we also created this just as a value add as part of people interested in implementation. Okay. One other announcement. Oh, sorry. I got to admit, sorry, I forgot to admit. I really am rusty on Zoom. I do all back in-house. Okay, hi everyone. My apologies for keeping you waiting. I was so excited about launching. I will go back a step for those who've just come in. Okay, so hi to everyone. It was with delight that I just announced that on August the 6th, which will be the next date of the monthly meeting, Antonio and I will both be together because we're going to be launching the 2.0 body of knowledge, which has evolved to make it more inclusive in terms of examples, cases, etc., and more specific in terms of implementing in a digital world, which I just announced. Okay. One other quick announcement, and then we're going to go straight into the topic. And that is something that I've personally been working on. And this is a model I use when I work with leaders, that leaders, as you know from the SIP and our curriculum that Antonio and I share, have been taught how to craft strategy. And strategy is about the right choices, implementation is about the right actions. But when you type into the literature, or you read the books, or even use Gen AI, almost all of it focuses on explaining to leaders why implementation is important. But the why in its own is not enough. We need more than that. We need to move to the second bridge, which is going from the why to the how, which is driving the right actions across the company, which then delivers the stakeholder performance. And the whole motivator behind SII was Antonio and I want to close this critical implementation gap, the implementation knowing action gap, and to move across the 2 bridges. So to complement CBOC 2.0, I'm also delighted to announce that on July 31st, I'm also launching Implement, Doing It Right in a Digital World. And this is my new book that I've been working on a number of years. I had the idea about 4 or 5 years ago, but then had to put it on the back burner. One, so that Antonio and I could publish the body of knowledge. I also published another book called The World's Best Bank. So it was just a matter of finding the right timing. So literally in 48 hours, I get delivery, but this focuses on providing you the how-to. So some of you who are SIPs will recognize some of the content, but it's also a lot of new content, such as the implementation canvas, using AI to fuel the last mile of strategy implementation. So I talk about digital nudges that accelerate your implementation, how you build a data operating model when you're implementing your strategy, because we have to be data driven. So it's very much an implementation in a digital world. Okay. Thank you, and Don, thank you for the congrats. Yeah, so it's going to be, I'm launching it in Singapore with Piyush Gupta, who's kind enough to write the forward. Piyush is the CEO of the biggest bank in Singapore, DBS, and he's going to do the launch with me in 2 weeks. There we go. Okay. Hey, Shona, I just saw you. Glad you made it. Sorry about the mix-up. We got it sorted. Apologies for that.
No problem.
So before we go into the check-ins, I thought I'd have a lighter moment in today. We all know that implementation is about shaking up the status quo. Why? Because if you're doing it the same way, you're not implementing anything different. So to implement, you've got to change the way we do. So I thought I'd have a little bit fun with this. So sometimes when we implement, it's not as radical as we make out. Sometimes it's just about being a little bit smarter, faster, and better than your competition. So this is a race in Italy, where the cyclist went from last to first by being a bit more aerodynamic than the competition. And this is how to use technology. Oh, what happened there? That didn't work. Here we go. This is how you should use technology, because I hate 10-pin bowling. Okay. And one more. So I'll introduce it first. It's been noisy. This is a group of fans in their soccer team had not scored for almost the whole season. And the spectators, a few who are left, their fans, wanted to help the players understand where the goal is. Okay, thank you for smiling. Thanks, Chris, because that's the first time I've shown that one. Okay. So the whole point is you've got to have fun when you implement as well. All right, so that takes us straight into today's topic, which is in check-ins. I prepared, I think, about 6 slides just as an introduction, and then we'll have a group discussion, breakout discussion, if that's okay. Let me pause. Any comments or questions on the updates?
Always exciting.
Thank you, Wayne.
Congratulations on the releases, Robin. Well done.
Thank you,
Can't
John.
wait to read it.
I've always said to everyone, never do 2 books at once, so I broke my own golden rule, but I blame Antonio. All right, so here we go. The term check-ins has become popular since Agile has really become the default approach for organizations in how they structure themselves to really manage in this fast-paced world. Today, speed is your competitive currency. And horizontal organizations are too slow. Horizontal organizations are when you're constantly going up to get permission, to go to meetings with your boss, to get signatures, to get approvals, to get budgets. It's exhausting and it's too slow and bureaucratic. Sorry, I said horizontal. Sorry, vertical organizations, my apologies. Vertical organizations is what I was describing. Horizontal organizations are when you flatline from end to end around your customer and you get rid of the bureaucracy. But more importantly, you become tremendously data-driven, so you can make faster and better decisions. You empower your employees, and you use something, a newer term, which I also mentioned in the new book, called implement. In the new book, implement, which is using customer science. And customer science is the fusion of customer journey mapping and data. I'll give you one quick example because you'll all get it very quickly. When you turn on Netflix and it says a new movie has a 97% of liking, not only are they using the data to get that number, but they're also watching your journey through different movies. When you stop, do you go back? Do you finish the movie? How long do you watch it for? So it's combining the virtual and physical mapping of customers with the data that we call the customer science. To achieve all of that, you need very much an agile. And part of agile is checking in more frequently. The challenge, as we say on the SIP course, the Strategy Implementation Professional course, the odds of successfully implementing a strategy that isn't reviewed frequently are slim to none. So we already knew that some form of check-in was critical. So let me kick it off with a pop-up question. So why are reviews so bad in organizations if we know if we don't review, we're probably going to fail, but yet we're still so bad at it? Your thoughts?
Yeah, Robin, it's on 20 here. What I find is that if people don't have a benefit coming out of those reviews, they tend to hook off very, very quickly. You lose your stakeholders very quickly. So what I experience myself is that if you do your review and you don't prepare it very well, yeah, you lose your stakeholders, you lose your interest, people will start showing up less, and then it will get there. And most people simply don't prepare a review. That's what I experience. So
because they're badly managed, there's no value. Therefore, they're just another time-wasting meeting, which is that's
correct.
The last thing we need. Thank you, Tom.
It's Wayne here. I think you have to continuously remind your stakeholders of what the purpose is and to give them a progress report, whether they're in the inner circle or the outer circle, so that everybody has an understanding of the ecosystem and the outcomes that are expected. But if you don't have that review, then people are going to interpret the status in their own mind, based on their own experience, based on their own plan. And the objective is to get congruence, but to get everybody collaborating and moving in the same direction. And you just have to, it's a human nature. You just got to keep reminding people.
Yeah, so, implementation, as we just said, is about doing things differently. And if we don't update them about how that's doing, and then if I paraphrase what you said, Wayne, it's getting alignment, everyone moving in that direction that we need. Okay, thanks, Wayne.
So I agree with Wayne. I agree with Wayne completely, but often reviews get into just a whinge fest, don't they? People just getting tangled up in their own issues. So I think Wayne's right. Keep the eye on the big picture and the direction, and have have proper issue management. But the meeting itself can be the excuse to to raise the issues and the complaints.
Yeah, just to mouth off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think then there needs to be a sort of almost a mindset shift in a lot of organizations, because meetings are talking shops, and when we work with our clients to implement check-ins, which is a really important part of our method, we get them to keep them really short, unashamedly borrowing a lot of techniques from Agile, maybe even doing them stood up, but you start, and I know, okay, you might not do a stand up with the senior exec team, but if you're
that's when you need it more, Roger.
Well, yeah, fair point. But if you're gonna have a quality check-in, a valuable check-in with the senior exec team, you need the teams beneath to have their check-ins first, because it all rolls up. And that's where the data comes from. And that's what I think majorly contributes towards, you know, a positive, really valuable check-in at senior level, but also very much taking the points about you've always got to remind the stakeholders why and how and so on and so forth. Why, but yeah, I think it's really important to keep it as sharply focused and get them to prepare in advance. And this is where using a system can be really quite useful, because if they're putting their updates into the system beforehand, then you can run the check-in from the system. Nobody's having to create slide packs and write reports for check-ins. The data's there and it's live and it's current and it's the latest that they can use.
Yeah, so using dashboards instead of PowerPoints, absolutely. And Roger, I'm just curious, thank you for sharing. When you say short, I just want to do a comparison to what we do. So what do you consider short? What's your time?
I would say for a team, maybe not at an executive level, but I would say for a team that are doing like a fortnightly check-in, 30 minutes.
Okay. All right. I'll share in a moment what we do, what we recommend. Okay. So thank you. Okay. Thank you for the input. So, you know, there no value, which is not just in check-ins, but in meetings, you know, in particular, you know, I mean, I haven't got the stats in front of me, but in the new book, I talk about how bad meetings are, how much wasting time, and how many people, I think it's like 82% of people admit to daydreaming in meetings. You know, they're just so badly run today. Update, it's an opportunity to update, align the organization, keep them positive, keep them short and sharp, okay? Just a bit of fun again. This is what typically happens. I like the graphics, Roger. Thank you. It's true, yeah. Okay. So check-ins, we want to create a regular review cadence across the organization by the leaders initiating the discipline of follow-up. Apologies for the typo, okay? And it's a critical implementation component. This is one of my own personal passionate when I'm working with leaders. Follow-up is one of the easiest and yet least practiced leadership skills. When we are saying follow-up, it's when you're asking, by definition, implementation is doing things different. When you're asking the employees to do things different, we then want to follow up with them to see, how's it going? Are you struggling? Do you need support? If you succeeded, what worked? What didn't? Lessons learned. There's so much that doesn't get done. Okay. So the challenge we have is to really make sure that it's impactful across the business. When leaders do follow up with the employees, they send the right signal of what's important in the implementation. And, you know, we just talked about the alignment and keeping people, you know, focused. Many implementations fail because leaders take their eye off the ball. So this is a powerful way to check in with an individual. Now, Roger, you shared, you know, for groups, you do 30. We do it for about 20. For individuals, we recommend only 10 minutes. That's all it takes, okay? And by those 10 minutes, not only do you send the signal, you also hold them accountable for their actions. So next Tuesday at 10 a.m., going to follow up with you for 10 minutes. If we're not in the same building, we'll do it on a conference call to check in to see how you're doing, what challenges you're facing, where we can support you. And thirdly, it reinforces the priorities across the organization. So you said yourselves that critical alignment that needs to happen. But they also able to identify if employees require support, such as additional resources. One of the things we've identified in a digital transformation world is that digital transformation requires the greatest shift of organization resources than ever before. So have people got the right resources, tools, models, frameworks, environment to support them? Secondly, for the employee, it guides them to keep them on the right path. when you check in more frequently, you avoid people going off on the wrong tangent. So you take small corrections. Coaching and training to enhance their capabilities. So you'll identify skills gaps and be able to train them in those missing skills. And once again, as we're moving into digital or moved into a digital world, the gap in skills is greater than ever before because there's so many new skills to learn, and encouragement to stay motivated through the implementation journey. So instead of being ignored and only reviewing once a year, maybe once a week, the boss is now checking in with them, and it keeps the motivation. Jeffrey, who I had the pleasure of sharing the stage with just before the pandemic, Jeff puts it this way: closing the loop, following up to make sure something actually happens after it's been decided on isn't a complicated idea. And it's the next sentence I love. But it's potent, but it is a potent means for preventing talk from being the only thing that occurs. Okay. So, you know, Jeff and Robert put it very succinctly that far too often all we do is talk. And, you know, NATO, no action, talk only. Okay. And then one more quiz to share. What do you notice about these numbers?
Wrong.
The last one is wrong.
Obviously, they weren't thinking. They're just being
Okay.
lazy.
The
So
first three were right.
Hey, Shona, well done. Thank you. That's why you're a SIP. Okay. So this is the check that a key sort of, this is the principle of check-ins when you're giving feedback to an employee. Leaders' old mindset is about pointing out what's wrong. And most of you immediately jump to, you idiot, Robin, you couldn't even multiply 4 times 4. But in implementation, nobody knows the journey ahead. And you have to reinforce employees more for what they're doing right, not what they're doing wrong, especially when you're building a culture of psychological safety. So the correct response is, well done, Robin, you got 3 out of 4 right. But don't tell me I just got the 4th wrong. You need to coach me when you check in with me. Can you identify what you can do differently to get all 4 correct? And then help me understand where I went wrong in my approach. So the principle of giving check-ins is first reinforce what they got right, and then coach them in where they need improvement. Does that work? Is that okay? All right. So last couple of slides before we go to the group discussion, bang on time. Check-ins are powerful as a best practice in implementation. And the first one I love, they shift the conversation from past to future. In traditional organizations, you get reviewed maybe once or twice a year, and a performance review is exactly that. How have you performed over the last 6 months? And leaders are guilty of the recency effect. So if you screwed up 2 days before your annual appraisal, you're screwed. Okay. Whereas check-ins are forward-looking. They're asking what support do you need going forward? How are you doing? So it changes 180, which is very powerful. We've seen that they create higher employee performance because you're showing more interest, you're guiding them, you're coaching, so we're getting better performance and productivity. It increases employee engagement. We know one of the top factors for any employee is whether they like their boss. So, you know, when your boss shows interest and works with you. Now, there is a fine line between micromanaging and using check-ins. So they're not a tool you use every day, but when you're implementing the new strategy, especially at the start. And in Agile, you know, it's built in as well. And the last one I mentioned briefly, building psychological safety by promoting high levels of trust among team members. So what we've seen is when we use check-ins with organizations, it helps build trust, but it also reduces the noise. So one of the good things about check-ins is there's then more conversations between you and your team. So it reduces the arguments, the differences, and there's more clarity and alignment, as we mentioned earlier. Is that okay? Any comments or questions? Reactions?
I would just add, sorry, Robin.
Yeah, please, Wayne. Yep.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've noticed in my experience is that unless check-ins actually result in decisions happening, right? So I'm saying to someone that is checking in with me that this is the issue I've got, or this is what's happening, and this is where we are. But I get no decision to help me in that. Then very soon, they very soon lose value. So that there needs to be seen that the check-ins are actually producing decision support, etc.
Yeah, otherwise you're abusing a very powerful tool. Absolutely, Wayne. Yeah. So if they don't see the reason, they're not getting, they're using it to criticize the employee or pick on them, it's just going to diminish the whole effect of it. Absolutely. Okay. So I think this is, last slide. So the discipline of taking corrective action is instilled when regular reviews and check-ins are conducted. So we're on our journey. We all know typically now, especially transformation is about a 3-year, minimum 2 to 3 year journey. And along the way, you have to take corrective action. The classic example is, the rocket going to the moon. A millimeter adjustment can be the difference between completely missing the moon and hitting it. So in our implementation, we need to know where to make adjustments along the way, and regular check-ins are making it happen. Okay, so I've got 2 questions, and I'm going to propose we break into, I think we have 17 on the call, so we'll do 4 groups. So I'll give you time to introduce. So another part of the monthly meetings is, we travel the world from London to New Zealand to Scotland to Bahrain to Singapore, Dubai. So we're all over the world. So it's to give you an opportunity to meet as well. So what I'm going to suggest is we'll do, I'm just looking at the clock, we'll do a 13-minute breakout on these 2 questions. So if you don't mind just taking a picture of the questions with your phone or scribbling them down, whichever you prefer, and I will set up the breakouts. So you got it? I can do this. I really am rusty on Zoom. I love it. Here we go. So 4 in each room. Here we go. So the rooms are open, and I'll join you in the rooms. Okay. Hey, Claudette, just saw you. Good to see you. Okay. See you in 30 minutes. So we're going to do a quick check-in. And we'll go around each room. We'll go 4, 3, 2, 1. Can I ask you to share, the whole point of check-ins is it's short, sharp, and impactful. So 30 seconds, maximum 60 seconds. Short and sharp. Room 4 is Alan, Eric, and Shona. Can I invite you to share one short, sharp, impactful takeaway from your discussion?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. Like, I gave an example of our check-ins, like I do at work, and we kind of use a Miro board to graph out visually how is everyone feeling, good, bad, confident of how we're progressing in this project. And a graphical representation is a great way just to quickly see where everyone's sitting. And then if management wants to have a discussion with individuals, then you can see, is everyone tracking to one section of good and confident or not? And that's just an easy way just to have a holistic check-in as well as individual in comparison.
Thank you, Eric. And are Miro boards your favorite?
Yeah, for sure.
Because?
Because it's just, I'm a visual person, and it's just like I can zoom in, keep on zooming in, put as much context, and then zoom back out and have everything there. Yeah.
I'm just curious, very quick follow-up. So does anyone use any other boards apart from Miro, like Padlets, or what's the other one? I've forgotten the other one. The other one begins with M.
We use Miro.
Mural is the other one, I think.
Mural, thank you. Thank you, Roger.
Yeah, I use Sharp Cloud,
Okay,
which
so
is
no
much more than a Miro board.
Miro as well. So Mural and Miro seem to be the two favorites. So Eric, thank you. So very powerful. Use, make it visual, let people see. And, you know, I've seen speakers do it even in a 45-minute keynote, and they do in the middle, you know, what's your opinion? So absolutely. Yep. Thank you. Thank you, room 4. Room 3, Anton, Chris, and Philmon.
Yeah, our key takeaway is that, you know, doing a check-in on WhatsApp is not there was a generation gap this week.
Yeah, I would part of that one.
No, but we do see that there's an absolute benefit, of course. And what we also agreed on was that if you keep it on future focused, so not looking backwards, but future focused, and you do it at least face to face, even digitally, then you have the most benefit out of it. You know, it's more like the personal touch that you can have, because we quickly agreed that just sending a text message in your WhatsApp group is just not enough. It's not really a check-in. It's more like, it's, I don't know. We for us, we're two old guys and a super young Philemon. They're sitting there in the group feeling, and he was like, "Well, WhatsApp is fine." So that yes,
yeah,
so that
so
was
it's
our
understanding your audience and what's
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So that was our key.
I was part of your conversation there, and yeah, we cover in the SIP course. You know, you covered it yourself how 92% of a email or a WhatsApp message is lost because you can't see the body language, you can't hear the inflection, which makes up the rest of it. Okay. All right. Thank you. Room 2, Claudette, Edgar, and Roger.
So that's going to be me. So we talked about the importance of actually designing the check-in first. So you've got to make it feel different to meet a regular meeting, okay? And then looking practically as to how it might fit into their schedule of meetings. You know, is there something that you can build it into? Maybe even replace something that's already there, because the last thing you want to do is to put more time into meetings. And yeah, so we were kind of talking about that, and also when it comes to the importance of reporting not just progress but also confidence, it's got to be done in a psychologically safe space and broader culture. Otherwise, you're just not going to get accurate, honest conversations. You're not going to get accurate, honest scoring.
Yeah.
So there's some wider discussions and decisions that need to be made around perhaps some wider cultural change sometimes.
Yeah, no, 100%. And unfortunately, many leaders are still stuck in the old mindset of failures or mistakes, not opportunities.
Yeah,
which goes against it. Okay, Roger, very well summarized. Thank you. And room 1, Phil, Stuart, and Wayne.
Take it away, Stuart.
That was well
Okay.
volunteered.
Well delegated, like it. We talked, I know
Cheers,
we're
Stuart.
very close on time, so I think we talked a lot about kind of, it's really an opportunity for synchronicity and alignment. I think getting that regular view to make sure that everyone is heading in the same direction before you start to kind of discharge actions down. That's really the value of check-ins. You've got that connection in with your leadership group. You're able to make sure that where you need to adjust those kind of micro course corrections, you're able to do that. So alignment and synchronicity of that executive leadership team is really a critical value of check-ins.
Yeah, and just making sure everybody is on the right road in the right direction. Awesome. Thank you. 60 seconds left. I'm going to do a 30-second close. Any other comments or contributions?
I just add the one thing that fails is the participation. It starts to wane after a while.
No pun
And
intended.
So that's the bigger part of the equation, is getting people to continually step up and step in.
Yeah. And if you ask them too often, they get abused and walk away. Absolutely. Good point. Thank you to everyone. As you know, we start and finish on time, so I'm going to wrap up in the next 20-30 seconds. Anton, you got something to add?
No, just wanted to say thank you for
Oh,
my
okay.
first good experience here. Thanks, Robin.
Thank you. That was your first, is it?
Yep.
Didn't
this is my
realize.
first.
Okay, sorry. Welcome. I didn't realize. Sorry. So it's top of the hour. The next meeting is August the 6th to launch the Body of Knowledge 2.0. And the focus will be sharing what's different between 1.0 and 2.0. And then the other teaser is in Q3, Tony and I are looking to launch what we're calling the SIP access. So this will be exclusive for those who have qualified, certified under the Strategy Implementation Professional. We're going to have unique insights and sharing, which will be a smaller group on an ad hoc. And we're looking to kick that off next quarter as well. And we've got a couple of other things up our sleeve that we'll share in the next few months. Thank you to everyone. Wonderful to see. It's great going around the world. Thank you for those who got up early. Thank you for those who stayed up late at night. And I'll see you all in 3 weeks for the launch of the new Body of Knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Shona.